I'm Richard Moore, and I wanted to make a quick. I wanted to send a quick message. I've hit a. It's kind of funny. I've hit a button or something, and I don't know how the hell I've got. There we go. Ooh, I don't know what's going on. So maybe I should be wearing a tinfoil hat today. So I've done something and it's put crap on my face. So, but nonetheless, I wish it would give me like some hair or something. But anyway, as most of you know, I am a targeted individual. I've been targeted since 2006. Some of you people that are targeted may have just figured out that you're being targeted, or assume that that when your targeting actually started, you could be wrong on the day, and I was for a long time. It's taken several years to be able to have an intelligent conversation about gang stalking. I didn't have a place or on Facebook or a friend to speak with, or someone that could be frank and brutally honest with me about what was going on. And that's the nature of criminal gang stalking. And I hope that this BS on my head, not annoying you all as much as it is me. So anyway, law enforcement refers to this as community policing. And the idea behind community policing, again, is a old whore in a new dress. It has its roots and its foundation are very sinister, evil, destructive, and it violates human rights on every level. But these are not the things that are known, not to the masses. So understand that these community policing programs, the way it's sold and people drink the Jim Jones Kool-Aid on this deal, is that they're able to predict areas, hot spots, if you will, where crimes are more apt to take place. And so it's a predictive program, or that's what it's designed for. So by getting ahead of the curve on a hot spot for crime or people that are involved in criminal activity, by stalking them, making their presence known, drones and whatever else they deem is necessary to cause discord. It's pouring down rain and I'm on the interstate. To cause discord and confusion, then my friend, that's part of the community policing program. You may wonder, well, I've been a victim of all these crimes. I've called law enforcement. I've done all these things I'm talking about. I've done it personally. I've made countless telephone calls to the FBI hotline, FBI field offices. I've had conversations with agents. I've had conversations with the Secret Service. I've had conversations with the state police, sheriff's department, attorneys, trying to get through this rain. I thought I could drown it out. But at any rate, and I was absolutely dumbfounded at the lack of interest these agencies had. It didn't make any difference whether it was me trying to report a potential life-threatening situation for certain individuals. It fell on deaf ears. Subsequently to that, these individuals died within 2 weeks of the time that, less than 2 weeks actually, within about a week and a half from the time I initiated contact with law enforcement under the insistence of the victim. To this day, I've yet to be interviewed or been afforded to give a statement on the behalf of these two individuals. Of course, law enforcement has already interjected their own. It's a closed case. It's cut and dry. There's no question about how they died, so forth and so on. That's it. That should be a wake-up call, because what happens is they have all the technology to track your telephone calls, and I'm going to tell you, you can change telephones 1,000 times a day. I'm not a technical expert on these direct energy weapons and all the things, the B2K and neural monitoring. That is not my field. So, but I will tell you that we have just recently brought an individual on board that is assisting this association that has over 2 decades of experience and knowledge of this particular subject when it does come to electronic harassment and so forth. I believe this individual became a target, and obviously because of the knowledge that this individual holds. You know, once you're in the program and you're in high level ranks of probably any rank of the program, it's kind of like the mafia. You know, it's a life commitment. You don't just quit or retire. That's not acceptable. So with that said, going back to changing telephones and so forth, I would venture to say, without any fear of exaggeration on how sophisticated the networks are, but I do know this. There's a simple voice recognition software that's within the network. So we'll have a signature for our voice, and so that keyed in, plugged in to the right place, and I'm talking on the phone to anybody, and I'm being monitored. Of course, they're going to get a hit. So it's that simple. Now, I'm not guessing or flying by the seat of my pants on this. I have first-hand knowledge of individuals that have, that in the parking lot, went into a dollar store, purchased a cheap cell phone, took it out of the package, turned it on, activated it. It was the activation for a prepaid cell phone. Activated it. Was keying in the prepaid card number for the phone to use it to make a phone call. While he was doing that, the phone rang. And he looking, he had someone with him, and he thought he hit the wrong button. Obviously, no one had the number, and he got there been a phone call made on his phone. The phone keeps ringing. Hello? Somebody on the other? Hello? And hello? And the man on the other end called the person I know by name, and he was with the FBI, and they had a conversation, so forth and so on. And of course, after the conversation, the phone was thrown in the trash. He was wanted for questioning for something that I don't have any knowledge of any of his business or anything like that. But he no longer had the telephone in his possession. Within 30 miles of where he threw the telephone away, he was surrounded by over 24 law enforcement, unmarked law enforcement vehicles. Now, the individual this happened to, I question anything that he said about that. When I was getting this story, I didn't have a full grasp of organized gang stalking. What he didn't know and what I now know, that when he went to the dollar store, they followed him in there. They were in the parking lot. So he was under constant surveillance, and but he wasn't aware of that. We're going back to the actual the telephone call and that. So for those that are asking, are they on my phone? How do they know my every move? Well, you have the full when you have full access to all the gadgets that this country has. Nothing impossible. I've had U.S. Marshals tell me that, and I quote, "Mr. Moore, if you knew the technology that we had access to, it would absolutely blow your mind." And I couldn't even really comprehend that. So with that said, I'm not going to dedicate my time on trying to understand how I've tracked, listened to, and I'm not going to spend my money on tinfoil hats. I've got these damn glasses. I really don't have on glasses and a hat. I mean, I don't know what the deal is. So maybe the stalkers are putting this on me. I'm a man in black. But at any rate, so they have the financing of the federal government, and of course then they in turn hire contractors. They use contractors. For instance, after 9/11, the United States Homeland Security was formed, and the first thing they did is they went to Las Vegas, yes, Las Vegas, to get schooled on surveillance technology. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the casino industry are the leaders in sophisticated software, facial recognition, and you can walk into a casino anywhere, and the rest of the casinos all over the world instantly know who you are and where you are. and of course they're do this to protect their industry, their business from cheats, and especially with the new technologies and stuff, and you're dealing with the cash bit. So rightfully so. We know the casino industry is money is no object. So the United States government honed their skills courtesy of Las Vegas in the casino industry. Now, part of this community policing program is we have the responsible to be a responsible member of the community as far as the businesses are concerned, and we're going to talk about Walmart, but we're not leaving out Target, chain stores, auto zones, advanced auto parts, so forth and so on. We're going back to Walmart. If you've ever pulled up in a Walmart parking lot, just look up at the top of the building, and the camera system on top of any Walmart store reminds me of what I've seen. I've traveled extensively, and it reminded me of the American Embassy in Bogota, Colombia, which was a mammoth fortress, and probably the most secure building in Colombia. And of course, that was all built on the hills of Pablo Escobar, and the United States government was able to come in there and make a deal with Colombia, and that's why Juan Valdez is on every coffee bag and can. You can get some. Brazil grows way more coffee than Colombia, but Colombia somehow has a lock on them. That's part of the deal. And so who knows what the Colombians have had to endure in being lab rats, like American citizens are. But the camera set up on that embassy was breathtaking. If we look over the top of Walmart, inside of Walmart, all of these now, Walmart has security cameras. They have to protect, but do they really have this much of an issue that they need some of the most sophisticated and advanced monitoring and camera equipment in the world? Really, are there that many people stealing soap and radios or a loaf of bread? Where the hell they got it at Walmart? Really? Think about it. Now, Walmart's not directly looking for anybody or watching anybody. They've got their own on-board stalkers working the store, plainclothes, attending the shop, trying to catch people shoplifting, and I don't know what they call it. It's whatever they call those people, but anyway, they got them in all the Walmarts, and it's not hard to spot them. It's kind of like spotting a stalker. Once you've seen one, hell, you've seen all of them. But at any rate, if you're put on a watch list, or you're wanted, or you're a criminal, or what have you, and then your facial recognition stuff is already in the system, and Walmart's security system, worldwide, world's largest retailer, Homeland Security gets a direct feed from Walmart, and they're not the only private and publicly held business that lends direct feed to Homeland Security. So, for instance, if I was a wanted criminal and I walked in a Walmart store or some of these other franchise or chain stores anywhere in the nation, facial recognition software. All this stuff's going into the same system. Law enforcement knows immediately before I've even been in that business for a matter of minutes. They know exactly where I am. Now, again, this is not just a kind of a wild thought that I've come up with. What I'm telling you is what I know to be a fact. So we're in the modern age of being watched. We've somehow gotten used to that from the traffic cameras. There's cameras everywhere. Big Brother has got access. I administrate all of them, including your phone. I mean, you don't believe that AT&T and Sprint, Verizon, they're on the program too. So regardless of what your apps say and all that, when it's all of this is done at a core level and it hadn't got anything to do with your phone, they've circumvented any type of safety or security measures that you could possibly take. And so that's a complete disregard for privacy and our right to privacy. But that was given up when this country went along with the Patriot Act, and it's still, by the way, alive and well. Now, with that said, when technology and high-tech weaponry is introduced into organized criminal gang stalking, there's where your confusion comes in. One, this community policing program, they're on your calls that you make. So if you're calling to report a crime, trust me, in real time, those people are being informed that you're part of the program, and they've already been briefed. All the agencies have been briefed. We're going to do things to discourage criminals, whatever. We're watching them. We're looking at them. And they're going to think, fill in the blank, that this is happening. They're going to think they're being poisoned. They're going to think they're being raped. They're going to think somebody's trying to kill them. None of that's happening. It's not real. And so they already know the protocol. So that's the reason you're dismissed. Because they've already been briefed on you and told what you're saying. So if you're given a lethal dose of arsenic or somebody shoots a real bullet and your windshield explodes out of your vehicle, that's happened to me twice, by the way. That's not psychosomatic, ladies and gentlemen. That's real. This is not a gray area. This is criminal behavior. It's criminal behavior. Now, this does not absolve anyone in law enforcement who said, well, I was told and I thought we were taught to ignore this and write them off as lunatics and ask them if they're taking their psych meds. Blah, 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 blah. We didn't really know that it was really real. Well, let me tell you what, ignorance is no excuse. Ignorance will be no excuse. This is the slippery slope. Because everybody's drank the Kool-Aid. And there are plenty. There are more good people in the government, and there are more good people in law enforcement that it far outweighs the dirty people that are in there. But let me stop short of telling you. This does not mean that they do not have blood on their hands. Once they realize, even though they're not directly involved, but seeing this and knowing how the deep state really works, and knowing that everything you do, say, everything in your life, in your family's life, everything that you love, want, they have access to it. And they can decide at any time whether you can have it or not, and make it look like you did it yourself. Isn't that one hell of a deal, ladies and gentlemen? But what we're working on right now, we're compiling hard information. Good. We need more. We need, for every targeted individual, you can come to my page and go to our band app and sign up. Your information is not shared with other people. We compile this, and this will be part of federal civil and criminal actions that we're in the process of compiling as I speak. Now, if you want to spend the rest of your life trying to figure out what is the best tinfoil to wrap around your head, or how in the fuck you can get away from people that are reading your mind and all that, you go ahead. But while you're doing all that, people are dying. People are being tortured. People are losing everything they have, everything they love. But when there are capable people out here that continuously change the narrative, try to change the direction for targeted individuals. It's not my job to spend the rest of my life in some wacko MIT think tank and try to figure out about these ultrasonic and all that other horse shit. And I'll tell you that the majority of it is horse shit, but I don't want to have a long discussion. Oh yeah, they can. So we're back and forth. So what have we accomplished? Okay, they can read my mind. Who gives a shit? You don't have to read my mind. You can see my mouth running. I pretty much, if I'm thinking it, you're going to hear it, whether you want to or not. I'm not really concerned about them reading my mind. Or let me tell you, once a person, it's how to break a person down 101, okay? And brainwash a person. First thing you got to do is you've got to put them in a stressful and stressful. So that's where all this the smoke and mirrors, the parlor tricks, and holograms, and all that horse shit comes into play. Then isolate you. Then everybody's calling you crazy. And it's a process, and it's a lot. It's not a quick process. It takes time, to get a person from where they are to where they want them. Now, an ideal is a person any type of legal or illegal drug. And that dovetails with fighting the war on drugs. I mean, really. Listen, the majority of the illegal drugs that plague this country, friends. Now, we're going back to Pablo Escobar. In Colombia. It's probably one of the biggest embassies that we have in the world is in Bogota, Colombia. Now, prior, they were responsible for the cocaine problem. Pablo Escobar in Colombia. But if you know anything about history, it's probably more coming out of Bolivia than it was Colombia. But that's neither here nor there. The United States was breaking Colombia's balls on stopping this. We said we can't stop Escobar. And Escobar went to the president of Colombia and told him, said, look, you tell the United States to take a hike, hit the road. I will personally pay Colombia's national debt. This country will owe no money. But if not, then you will suffer. As we know that Colombia had its own civil war with Escobar's people, outgunned and overpowered Colombia's military. But during this confusion, during all this going on, turmoil in the country, the United States gets a foothold and gets control of this deal, and Escobar's dead, as we know, blah blah blah. So and now, as a result of that, you can't get cocaine in the United States anymore. Oh, you can? Huh? Imagine that. Well, I thought it was Escobar. I thought it was the cartel. Oh, it's the Mexicans now, and it's methamphetamine. So what's next? So what's next? I'm supposed to believe that metric tons of methamphetamine come into this country daily, and our government does not know about it. I mean, they know when I take a piss in the dark with camouflage on in the middle of nowhere. For some reason, they can't catch a Mexican with 100 metric tons of methamphetamine. Now, I hope some of you are picking up what I'm putting down. I'm trying to draw the big picture for you. This is a big monster. This is a deep monster. It's a wide monster. And if you dedicate in your time and efforts of trying to figure out how to stop somebody from whistling in your ear or whatever, I'm sure they're going to make you think. It's all happened to me. When they project the sounds, it sounds like somebody's living in your attic. They've been in your house. During the conditioning period, they have been there. They move shit around. They'll change things, steal little things, do little petty stuff. It's all part of the tomfoolery, trickery program. The shock and awe. And when they devastate you and everybody's calling you crazy and a lunatic, you're just spinning around like the Tasmanian devil. And guess what? They're not worried about you. Nobody's going to listen to you. And if the money keeps flowing, life is good for these people. Well, let me tell you something. When you are targeting innocent or any citizen, you're targeting them, whether you think they're involved in criminal activity or not. There's nothing you can excuse, because we have rules and we are a country governed by law and order, a constitution, and there's a thing called due process, and there's a thing called civil rights and civil liberties. All of these things have been cast to the side, thus making every single person involved from the bottom all the way to Washington, D.C. culpable of conspiracy, of criminal, of high crimes and treasonous human rights violations that are unfathomable. That's the picture. Focus on those things, where those vehicles that have followed you. Take pictures, get tag numbers. I don't care if they use fake tag. I mean, listen, don't believe me. They're anticipating you documenting these things. They don't like to be photographed, okay? And they when you go into a store, they anticipate your movement of where you're going. I mean, you had watched somebody for a couple of weeks, and you've got your schedule. So I mean, it's not rocket science. And if you've ever looked at a stalker, I mean, I'm telling you, you think these people are operating high-tech equipment. I mean, look, most of the ones I've seen don't even know how to operate a fucking toothbrush. Excuse my language. much less operate all this high-tech stuff that we're giving these morons credit for. The handlers did that. They're running this thing from way back and paying these people. They get a little bit of gas money. I've already told you they have the classes. They get Walmart gift cards. Now look, if what I'm saying is true, which it is, if what I'm saying can be substantiated, I can. It implicates a lot of people, and it's a big deal. Well, let me change the subject then. This federal lawsuit that we're going to file, that will receive class action status. You, as a targeted individual, being compensated, and there's no amount of money that can make up for being systematically tortured. But we're looking to something to the tune of $2 to $3 million per targeted individual. I want you to wrap your hands around that, okay? This is a big deal. This is not a pipe dream. This is not high hopes. And what I'm doing has nothing to do with money. I could give two rips about that. What it has to do with is doing the right thing. So many people do not have a voice. And then I realize every day that, oh my God, look how many people are in discord of targeted individuals that have gone and they have been blown and tossed about by every conspiracy and every you're chasing ghost. We, and I personally, am not in ghost chasing. I don't give a tinker's damn how that anybody projects a hologram. I didn't care about it before they did it, and didn't care about it while they're doing it. I'm going to sew it up right here. I'm going to try to sew it up. I have, personally, first-hand knowledge of the oppression of people that society tends to disagree with. You see, if you don't fit into a certain pattern, people are oppressed. We know this from the 60s during the Civil Rights Movement. I can speak on this. I was born in the 60s, but I was not old enough or while living in the dirty South. By the time I was born, that stuff, we had the Civil Rights Bill. But I want to speak on this because it's really important. It's really important to me, especially now. When I see the discord and what's going on in our country today, this confusion, these racial things that are being said and done is absolutely I've never seen. I thought I had seen it all during the Rodney King thing. That pales in comparison to what I'm seeing now. Now this comes on the hill of a country that's been on lockdown, deprived of jobs and movement, social distancing. When people are packed and crowded together, facial recognition software is worth a shit. But if you can get everybody 6 to 12 feet apart, you can get a hit on every person. It's amazing at how you can build a database on that, because everybody's got to stand back, and it's most of it is, and so they don't really care about you. It's probably a little easier if everybody's got a mask on, and so they can work with this. Anyway, I'm not getting into that, but read the handwriting on the wall, okay? So China gave us the virus, and of course, China has given us everything. If China quit shipping things to America, Walmart will go under tomorrow. I mean, you can't. It's impossible to anything. I mean, all the iPhones are made in China. I mean, get the hell out of here, okay? So, of course, it came from China. So, with that said, during the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. Martin Luther King, you can best believe he was stalked. He was stalked by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. We know this now that J. Edgar Hoover tapes and those things have been released. They bugged his run. Now, Dr. King was a preacher. He wasn't a terrorist. He wasn't a criminal. So why was he under constant surveillance? Why did they have bugs and record his every conversation? Everything was done, and they tried to discredit him, to smear his reputation of being of infidelity and so forth and so on. And ultimately, he was assassinated. But before these things happened, at that time, Time magazine, that was the news article. That's how America got its printed news. This was before USA Today, and the people. I mean, for a national publication, it was Time magazine, and it was a photographer from Time magazine that was from the South that was given that assignment to photograph, to do the journalistic work for Time of the Civil Rights Movement. This individual that made the photographs, the majority of the photographs that we know and see today. When we see the dogs in Birmingham, the Birmingham Police Department attacking black people, the march from Selma, the lockouts at Ole Miss and the University of Alabama. All of these pictures of Dr. King arrested in jail were taken by this Time photographer. He was a white man, by the way. This white man was trusted and was a trusted friend and confidant of Dr. King. And so he was able to be privy to a lot of things that were going on and get the jump on the story and get the exclusive. By doing this, this photojournalist opened the nation's eyes to the struggles in the South. Now, when you get through with this, you can Google this. This man later went on, this photojournalist, he produced a New York Times bestseller, and it's a book of his photographs and his story about all these photographs and his journey with Dr. King. The name of that book is called Powerful Days. And the photojournalist, and the man I'm speaking of, is Charles Lee Moore. That's my cousin. Charles Lee died, I believe it was in 2011, 2012. His obituary was printed in every major publication globally. Politicians, dignitaries from all over opined. He was given credit as being one of the most important spokes in the wheel of helping getting the Civil Rights Bill passed and getting the Civil Rights Bill in play, because it was his work that opened the rest of the country and the world's eyes to what was going on in the dirty South. I had conversations with Charles before he passed, and He was born in Alabama, and he was living in California. He was traveled the world and held seminars and symposiums and so forth on photography. Any professional photographer that has been anywhere or read anything know who Charles Lee Moore is and know of his work. I'm saying all this to say this. If you look at Powerful Days and you look at the pictures and you look at the dogs where they're attacking black people in Birmingham, there's always a flip side to that. Those dogs, and what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is it's not printed anywhere. You haven't heard it anywhere. Because I'm telling you something right now that is probably only known to less than a dozen people in this world. I'm going to give you a brand new, hot off the press fact. You get through with this, look at those pictures of those police dogs, those German Shepherds. I mean, when you've seen one German Shepherd, you've seen them all, right? That's never been questioned. But I know for a fact, got it from the horse's mouth, those dogs didn't belong to the Birmingham Police Department. Those dogs were borrowed from another very, very close relative of mine. It just so happened that this close relative of mine was a high-ranking member in the Ku Klux Klan. These things are not mentioned in Powerful Days for obvious reasons. The backstory to that is the Birmingham Police Department borrowed my relatives' dogs because they were trained to attack black people on sight. That's why these dogs absolutely went crazy and wild when those peaceful protesters were in the park. And police were using water cannons on peaceful protesters. They didn't have guns. They didn't have weapons. And they went to a hate organization and a leader to a hate organization to get their trained dogs for American citizens. My family subsequently, this was before I was born, but it was split. On one side, they disenfranchised each other because my cousin, the photographer, and his family, and anyone that would have anything to do with him, were nigger lovers. And that's exactly what they called them. It's a sad situation. These people that I'm talking about now are passed away. The descendants still remain. This is a secret that's been buried. Now, that takes us today, right now, of who's talking to you. I will promise you, ladies and gentlemen, that the government could care a tinker's damn about me, whether I live or die. And that's anyone else that's targeted or will soon be targeted. You're nobody to these criminals. And they've got a tight grip on what they do. And they have a very sinister and evil agenda. And they will stop at nothing to keep from being discovered. We're doing this on a daily basis. We're blowing the lid off this deal. They know who I am. They know that I absolutely know that beyond a shadow of a doubt that my resume is a long one. But my resume holds some key elements of key people in history that represent the very best of humanity and the very worst of humanity. I can speak on this oppression. I can speak on this evil. I can speak on this with authority. I'm not just some guy that's pissed off or has an attitude. I'm the guy that's working with other people that are determined. Determined that, just as determined as my cousin Charles Lee was, to let the world see what the Dirty South was doing. That takes us to 2020. And I know that they're looking down on me now. And I hope that I am and will be and always will be a good steward of what has been passed to me. I never dreamed that in order for me to get to where I am today, that I would have to be subjected to every single element of the evil plans and the schemes of organized criminal gang stalking. Been there, done that. I survived it. You'll survive it. Or you will self-implode and self-destruct, running in circles, chasing ghosts. Go to my site, go to our band app, download the band app. We have it set up just for you. Document, put your name in there. This date, such and such, this car or this person, this neighbor. However insignificant you think it is, we need it documented. We're getting that. Stuff is pouring in, it's mind-boggling. Folks, it's not just happening to you. Whatever you think, if you think you're alone, if you think that oh my God, let me tell you, it's happening to thousands of people. You're not alone. You're not forgotten. You're not hopeless. You're not gonna die. You're not crazy. The whole world is not out to get you. Aliens have not landed and implanted a chip in your head. They're not controlling you. You are controlling you. They simply planted the seed, and you keep watering it, fertilizing it, or you can say, hey, enough's enough. Screw the smoke and mirrors. Watch me, follow me, do whatever. But don't think you're going to like what I'm doing, because I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I hope I've encouraged you. And I promise you, when I get back, I don't know, maybe, I'm telling you, I'm not the techno guy. As you can see, I've got this hat and these glasses, and for the love of God. And I like to attribute everything to stalkers. So maybe the stalkers put this on me. I don't know. I look like a man. I don't know what the hell this is. Anyway, it's funny. Maybe Zuckerberg is trying to help me out, and I'm not trying to hide anything. I notice I move my hand. I don't know what the deal is with that. Anyway, God bless you. I don't want to leave without telling you this. Don't try to figure it out. God knows and sees everything. God has assured me, and He's assuring you, we will prevail. We put the devil on notice. We're coming back to get our stuff. We are taking possession of what is ours. These giants were taking possession of what is ours. Satan, we've had enough of your deceit and your lies. And you're the father of lies. You're the father of confusion. You come and you came to kill, steal, and destroy. That's exactly what community policing, organized gang stalking does. It kills, it steals, and it destroys. God's in this. have faith, and know that I will promise you, ladies and gentlemen, if it weren't for God, I wouldn't be sitting here today telling you what I'm telling you. That's how you know that He's in this. Quit trying to figure something out that is designed not to be figured out. Blind faith. Let God's got this figured out. All you've got to do is say, okay, God, you got this figured out? Thank you. I'm just going to do my part. I'm going to quit worrying about these radar guns and stuff and people creeping around all the time. They're not going to get close to you. I mean, that's another subject for another day. They don't get, many of them get close to me, and I smell them. But what I'm saying is, folks, that's coming to a stop. Trust me, it's coming to a stop. We're going to end it. So let's not prolong the end of the story by dilly-dallying around and focusing all your time and attention on trying to understand how to dodge some kind of signal or something, okay? And join with other targeted individuals. There are other organizations that we have got to work together. This is not a separate thing. When I tell you that we're going to have these assholes in federal court, and believe me, what you're talking about, a domino effect of biblical proportions, expect it. I'm not blowing smoke. I don't know what anybody else has got planned. I'm telling you, you put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's gonna happen. They screw with me every day. My God. But by the grace of God, everything was answered on that cross of Calvary. The blood of Jesus paid for it, answered it. Past, present, and future. That can't be circumvented. That blood of Jesus is that bloodline in sand that the devil can't cross. When he moved in, he's put a sign. Corey Ten Boom said, he put a sign up that said, no fishing allowed. My friends, we've had enough of these games. We've had enough of people telling me they're mentally and physically sick because they've done this psychosomatically because of this oppression. Dust yourself off. Square your shoulders. Get involved. And even if it gets quiet, friends, this does not end for anyone until you're dead. Because, God forbid, the cat gets out of the bag. Do you not understand this? This is all, no holds barred, a proposition here. It's not, they're not just going to leave you alone. They will for a little bit, and that's how they screw your head. They're in it. It's a mess. It's a mess if somebody dares speak out. So if you think it's just going to go away, you put your fears to rest, honey. It ain't going to happen. Okay? It goes away when these assholes start going to prison. And when we take every single thing they have amassed, this money and all this wealth, all these things belongs to us, the victims, because it was made off of our blood, sweat, and tears. And let me tell you what, folks, that's white, black, but the powers that be would love to have the white race and the black race pitted against each other with all this going on. Who knows what's really going on behind closed doors? This is not the time to start hating, race hating, or police hating, and all these stupid things that I'm seeing posted on social media. It's time for people to separate themselves. Get a prayer life. This is not about hate speech. This is not about fighting. It's not about killing. This is about allowing our Constitution. Hundreds and thousands of men and women gave their life. This country gave their sons and their daughters, their brothers and their sisters, their mothers and their dads, to die on foreign soil at the hands of people that hated and despised what this country stands for. So we could have this Constitution. So we could have law and order. For the love of God, if you don't have faith in this system that so many have gave their blood, I don't know what to tell you. Understand this, that there are people within this very system that want you to be at discord, that believe that all the constitutional rights, all these things, are a thing of the past. I submit to you, brother and sisters, it's not a thing of the past. And by God, it's as much as they fought for it then, we're going to fight for it now. Too many people have given their lives to have what we have, for us to lay down and allow our civil rights to continuously and systematically be taken away, and to be deprived, and to be treated like babbling buffoons when we try to exercise our rights as an American citizen. Those days are over. I'm telling you, those days are over. Until we pull together and start recognizing that and fight and start listing and documenting this stuff, we're going to still be the fools and their little patriots fighting with each other, robbing and looting and all this stuff, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. Think about that. God bless you. Till next time, see ya.